But she said she could hear from far. She could hear like if they were running and they would jump over the fence. And so she would she says that the sounds were like going on for like about an hour or so, and she would just stay quiet and she would just freeze. And then she told my dad, I heard this, and my dad says, "You're crazy, you were dreaming. That's not true." And she goes, "You have to believe me. It's very scary." So another night she would hear horses coming, and sometimes she would hear chains, like big double chains, like dragging around, like scary sounds inside or on top of the roof of the tile, and she could hear like if the horses were walking on that tiles and breaking. She was just waiting any moment for a hole to come up, and a person would come down from up there. But she said I could hear the cracking of the clay tiles on top. She was, it was so scary. So my dad said to her, "No, it's all up in your mind." You're like, if I was you, he was like, if I would hear something like that, I would go out there and open the door and say, "In the name of God, who are you?" Like my dad is making this.
Yeah.
Imagine my dad being a 30-year-old man, like, "I'm not scared. I will go out and talk." And my mom says, "No, it's not like that. It's really, I'm seriously." So my mom says that for years she would hear all kinds of monstrous sounds, like coming from one side, going from the top, and one day she heard the animals like galloping, the horses galloping, and she wouldn't hear only one horse. She would hear like horses coming, and then she could hear them going up the roof and like with their paws like going, and she could hear that like mad. So she had her altar where she had her virgin and all her little things and the candles, and she says every time that sun would come, the candles would turn off. They would just like puff, So there was completely darkness in the room. And after the sounds would go away, the lights would go on by itself. And this is my mom telling me. I mean, I'm not making up a story. My mom told us those stories, and we have to believe my mom. And she's like, and so she was also so scared. So one day, my dad's, because he had a machine that he worked on, I guess the machine broke down, and they told him about middle of the night. You can go home. There's no point for you staying. Go home. He thought, I'm going home. I'm going to go rest. I'm going to go with my wife, who had already had the baby. Mm-hmm. So she would hug the baby close to herself when things were happening. And so she got home and told my mom, I'm home. And like, oh, good. So because it was a certain day that these things would come. I don't know if it was every day. I don't think it was every day, but every so often. Mm-hmm. So that night, my dad fell asleep and everybody was asleep. And all of a sudden, here comes the noises, the scary noises. And so my mom is waiting to see what my dad is going to do. And she, with her elbow, she's like, no. And she's like, he freezes, and he's like, and all the things going on. And all of a sudden, she said she had a big table, which I still remember that table. It was high. For me, I remember it was like up to here where we would eat, and it was like up here eating. But it was like thick, like this, the good
good real wood and stuff.
Yeah, good wood. And as they were sitting, they hear like the table, something came up from the roof and fell on the table, and they hear the crack of the table, like, oh, our table is gone. It cracked, it broke. So when everything is gone, but the candles go back and light again. Check the table, the table is whole. And my mom says to my dad, okay, Manuel, and he's like, what did you say you were gonna do? What did you say you were gonna do? He goes, I believe you. Says, how many times? Look, at least 3-4 times a week I hear this. He goes, I will not stay here by myself anymore. My dad. He's like, so he went to get his brother, my Tio Aurelio, and his nephew, my mom's nephew. I'm gonna go get Aurelio, not good, Pancho, who were single men. And I guess like 3 men he brought to stay with my mom. Like, they don't know what's going on. Yeah. It's a haunted house. And so it's like, don't tell them why. I'm just saying because we want you to be safe and da da da. Don't tell them about the noise. Well, once they heard it, they never wanted to come back. They never wanted to come back. And so time passed, and they got married like in 1932. By 1936, they met the gospel. Mm-hmm. But see, because they were so Catholic, my mom, when everything started, my mom went to mass, and she went to confess with the priest and says, Father, this is what's happening. And he's like, says, you're a sinner, that's why you're getting hearing this and that. He says, you need to, he's like, I'm scared. She was like, you need to take the holy water and sprinkle some holy water all around the house, and and this is gonna go away. So my mom was okay. So she got a little bit of holy water, and she took, and with her faith, she put it all over. She says that that night, the sounds of her were worse than ever. It was like much.
So like she got it mad?
Yeah. She got it mad, yeah. She's like, oh my goodness, this is even worse. So she went and told the priest, Father, I did what you told me, and this time it was like worse. She goes, oh, you aren't supposed to touch the holy water because you're a sinner, remember? So you need to get your baby's hand.
Oh my gosh.
He says, I'm gonna bless the water for you, and take it, and you get the baby's little hand and put it to sprinkle the water because her hand is pure. That was no. It was the same thing in worse. Every time it was worse to worse. So my mom said, well, I guess we'll have to live with this. So the missionaries came around. The gospel came in our hometown. And they started teaching her about, that there's 2 forces, the good and the evil. And the Heavenly Father it's a merciful Father. He can take away anything. And if you pray to Him and He prayed it, they learned about the way to pray, not to recite it.
Yeah.
And so my mom said to my dad, I believe in that church. And my dad says, no, I don't buy it. Says, because they're Americans. Remember what Americans did to Mexico. They took away some of our land, and my dad didn't understand all that part, that it was God's plan. And so no. My mom says, well, I believe it, and I want you to listen to the missionaries. My dad would not listen. He wouldn't listen to them. And my mom said, well, I'm gonna learn with them through my brother. My brother Dario he's gonna be with me when the missionaries come and talk to me. And there was a person in the town that would teach her. Mm-hmm. So when she started believing and she started really praying from her heart, all those sounds of that she was listening before started going away. And